The great theologian, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, member of the Eagles, Don Henley, once wrote a song called The Heart of the Matter. In this song, he is describing a relationship that he used to have, that things went bad, and he's trying to figure out how to move on with life. And in The Heart of the Matter, the chorus goes like this: "Don't worry, I won't sing it." He says, "The more I know, the less I understand. All the things I thought I knew, I'm learning again. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak and my thoughts seem to scatter. Wait for it, but I think it's about forgiveness." Forgiveness. The heart of the matter in Don Henley's mind, when a relationship goes south or when a relationship is struggling, the heart of the matter, he thinks, might just be forgiveness. Don Henley was exactly right. In every relationship you have, if you want to keep that relationship, if you want that relationship to flourish and grow, at some point, forgiveness will be the heart of the matter. Forgiveness is the heart of the matter between you and God. It was the thing that you needed most from God, to be forgiven of your sins. And so he sends his son to make a way for that to happen. And then Jesus spends lots of time talking about forgiveness. And we started yesterday in part 9 of What is Love, talking about forgiveness. Jesus tells a story after Peter asks him, "Hey Jesus, how often should I forgive? 7 times? And Jesus says no. He says, he gives them a math problem to do, 7 times 70, but it's not really giving them a number. In their mind, this was like saying you forgive an infinity. You never stop forgiving. And then Paul, he would come along later and say that we are to make allowance, make room for each other's faults. That's an interesting idea. And then we are to forgive anyone who offends us. And then he closes that statement in the book of Colossians chapter 3 by saying, remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive anyone. So if you keep that in mind, remember the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive everyone who offends you. And then you go back to the story Jesus started to tell after Peter asked him about a number. Jesus tells a story about a king who had decided to collect all the debts. Everybody who owed him money, he was bringing them in, and they were to pay him back. One of his servants owed him millions of dollars, and the servant obviously couldn't pay it. The king threatened him. The servant begged for mercy, and he was moved. The king was moved in his heart and had pity on this servant who owed him millions of dollars. And so he forgave him, forgave his debt completely, millions of dollars. Immediately, Jesus says, that servant who had just been forgiven $1 million debt went outside, saw in the corner of his eye another servant who owed him a couple $1,000s. And so that first servant walks up to the second servant and grabs him by the throat and says, "Pay me back now." Obviously, the servant couldn't, and so the first man has the second man arrested and thrown in jail till he can pay his debt. Well, the other servants find out, they tell the king, and the king is furious. And he reminds him, I forgave you. I released you from your debt of millions of dollars, and you don't have the decency to forgive this other slave a couple of $1,000s of debt. This is an interesting story that Jesus tells. It's a parable, and in a parable, there's always somebody who represents God and somebody who represents us or you or me. Obviously, king in this story, the king represents God. And at some point, God calls us all to account, and we have to take account for our life and give it to him. But when we talk about forgiveness, we are to understand that the debt we owed God, we offended God, we hurt God so bad that the debt was millions and millions of dollars, and there was no way we could pay it. And we compare what we owed God to what other people who hurt us owe us. It's very, very small. $1,000 compared to $1 million is very, very small. And that's the perspective we're supposed to keep when we struggle with forgiveness. We are to remember, we are to take the perspective that God has forgiven us of way, way more than we will ever have to forgive anyone else in our life. And so we're going to talk this week about forgiveness and how to do it and why it's so dang difficult sometimes. and then how we can get over that and how we can be forgiving people. We are to make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends us. So let us go about today with the perspective that since Jesus has forgiven us, our King has forgiven us, we too must be forgiving people. Have a good day.